Oh, hello. Well, I guess we're together now. Hi. So, how you been? I I had a few thoughts today. Not too many. I was watching Beverly Hillbillies with Granny and Uncle Jed and Ellie Mae. Um, I think that Jed was about 45 and Granny was maybe 50 or maybe even 40. I mean, she looked so spry. And I think Ellie Mae, I think she was like 30. It was interesting to watch them because, I watched them when I was a little girl. And I loved Beverly Hillbillies. I mean, I didn't like get upset if I didn't see it, but I think it was on a lot. I think it was on, well, maybe it is every week. I don't know. Television's a whole lot different than YouTube. You don't just choose everything, but you did get to have a choice of everything that was available. You weren't limited in what you could see. That was only limited by how much time you wanted to spend searching. I guess that's the same as YouTube. But if you don't know what you're searching for on YouTube, you'll get what the algorithm says. The algorithm is not always your friend. You may have a passing interest. I have those OK Google dots, and they're listening all the time. Except none of them seem to be set up at the moment. Listening and listening and listening. Anyway, so I was sitting here, I was thinking about the reason I eat wheat and sugar is because the dopamine hit, right? Like it's all for an ADHDer, or I don't know, everybody seems to think they have ADHD. Well, I thought I had it about 40 years ago, so I beat you. But the dopamine hit is a person with ADHD is always looking for the next. No, it's the dopamine hustle. You're always looking for your next dopamine hit. This will make me feel good. And I think that's why I do so much. Because you get dopamine every time you accomplish something. And for me, I break things down into the tiniest parts, I took the hammer over there. Next time it'll be I I decided how long to cut the wood. Because these are major milestones, right? And so each of these gives me a dopamine hit. And so it's okay to have 100 things going because each little bit on each little thing gives me a dopamine hit. So, I've shown you these things before, but let me show you again just in case you forgot. Okay, so like I cut out this duck. This is stained glass. I cut it out and I loved it so much and it was so easy to cut one that I decided I would make it in triplicate. It's the way I cook. So I made one that was clear glass and the others that were identical. And so I have this amazing wood duck. His crown is a little difficult to see because it's dark outside, of course. Okay, so when I did stained glass, everything I did on there, every time I cut out a piece and got the cuts to actually resemble the shape, and then that was a dopamine hit. And then when I would, you see now the dopamine hit, does it always just come from finishing it? Like cutting one out to fit. To me, that's finishing that part of the job, right? That part doesn't have to be done again. But then there's the next part, which is sanding it. And the way it feels when you push it against that little thing that stands up in the sides of the glass, they go around on this and they get roughed up just a little bit. So it'll hold the adhesive on the backing of the strip of copper. It must be real copper. You can't fake that. Anyway, and then when I would get them all cut out, like every time I would cut one out, it was like, there's another one cut out. Look at another one cut out. And so every time I cut one out, I would receive the same dopamine hit. And so in doing just one project, it didn't matter how long it took, because the goal was not to finish it. It was to have the next dopamine hit. And when I would really focus in on it, I would get lost in it. Oh my gosh, that was like a dopamine overdose, right? Like, dopamine is this chemical that your body creates automatically. It's a feel-good chemical, and you get it from accomplishing things. And so, there's the basket making. So here's the basket making. Oops. Not to be confused with the mess making. So there's the basket making. You get into doing this, and you start to feel it, and it's just so satisfying to feel it. And you there's this certain way that you move the pieces so that they overlap and go around, and then the finishing it off, and every part of it, the base, it's all a different sort of thing, and it's fun. And then there's the sock making. Okay, so I make one pair of socks, and it feels so good to have made a pair of knee socks. Here they are. Oops, they're going that way. So I get it all cast on, and that's like, whoa, I did it. And then every time I knit, it's like, whoa, I did another row. I don't count the rows, but and finally get to the heel. I'm in the middle of repairing them, but you get to the heel, and then you turn a heel, and it's, oh, I did it. And then I found out if I made them one at a time, the next one never matched it. So then I'm using a round needle. And that's not a round needle. I keep them connected when I'm not wearing them. So I start at the toe, and I work my way up. So I start like with this one. It's like, how many stitches are across that? This is quite a few. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7? No. Maybe it's